It's time for Debate Night 2 Recap with Isaac24. Well, if you didn't watch the first one, you don't know how much of a clusterfuck it was. And I don't think the word clusterfuck has ever been more relevant, I'll be honest. Well, let's talk about the second one. Yes, it was definitely a little bit more civilized than the first one. There were a couple times when they were talking over each other, but it wasn't very frequent. It wasn't every 10 seconds. That actually leads me into one of my tweets, which, if you didn't know, I was tweeting all throughout the debate last night. So they mentioned that they were going to turn off microphones when people weren't talking. Maybe for the first half hour, but the rest, they didn't do that. So let's talk about other things, because I tweeted, as you can see, there's my Twitter thing, all the things I've tweeted since last night. Let's see what I tweeted. So, the first thing that I thought was interesting, Trump saying that he's immune now that he's caught the virus. I don't know if that's true, but I am pretty damn sure that even if you had the virus, you could still catch it. Maybe not as severely, but I think you could still catch it. Another thing that he said, this is actually something Joe Biden said, I'm going to quote you, anyone who is responsible for 200,000 deaths should not be president of the United States. I'll tell you what, you are right. You are right. So, I find another thing I found funny. They were talking about a COVID vaccine, and the lady, which I'm so sorry I forget her name. Okay, it was Kristen Welker. Welker? I think it's Welker. I've never heard of her before, but she seemed alright. She also seemed like she favored Biden, which can't blame you completely. She was talking about how Dr. Anthony Fauci and a bunch of other people are saying that even with a vaccine, which, by the way, I'm going to put this out there now, I think that we're going to have a vaccine widespread by next June. That's my guess. Maybe July, August at the latest, but I think it's going to be June. I initially thought April, but not anymore. I find it funny that, she said, oh, well, Dr. Anthony Fauci and a bunch of other people are saying that even with a vaccine administered by the middle of next year, we're still going to be having to social distance and wear masks into 2022. Trump talked about, we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year, and we won't be wearing masks by, April or May. And then he said, my timeline is more realistic. And I just find it odd that he thinks that timeline is really going to work. As if we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. That's honestly what I'm thinking. Another thing that I was thinking about, I actually tweeted a quote, and I was actually worried I was going to run out of Twitter characters, because, I don't know, Twitter has a character limit. I'm going to read you my tweet verbatim. Trump's message to parents, and I open quote. Open schools, transmission rate, and this is not word for word because I was on my computer and I couldn't type as fast as they were talking. Open schools, transmission rate to teachers is small, and we have to open our country. We can't keep it closed. We have a massive economy. People are dying at a level we've never seen before. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. I'm just letting that sink in. I think, there was some point that Trump said something about, I could find plenty of things wrong with Joe, and I think the ratio of problems that I could find with Trump and Biden is 5. But that's just me. Oh, I guess I have to talk about Biden care. The first time he said Biden care, I just laughed. Not that it's a bad idea, maybe it's a continuation of Obamacare. I mean, I thought it was funny. I'd never thought about it. Let's see, I made a joke about Bernie Sanders. Well, I said the only thing more liberal than Bernie Sanders is Lisa Simpson. I also said that this bothered me. 8 million people in poverty. Do you know who does not understand poverty? Do you know who? Donald J. Trump. I made another joke. Biden was talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and I'm just thinking, I'm going to be filling out as many applications as possible for 15 hours. One thing that really pissed me off, and this is probably the angriest I got over the night, was when Trump said that the people who are still repeatedly trying to come into this country are the people with the lowest IQ. Wow, that... No. Trump, if you're watching this, there are certain things, and Biden too, whoever, there are certain things that you just don't do on national television, and that's one of them. The last tweet was, I'll read it verbatim, because they were talking about, I think it was Biden was talking about how this country, you know, white people could, you know, walk down the street and, you know, when they get pulled over, they just have to, you know, have their hands on the wheel and not reach for anything except maybe turning the car off, whatever. Whereas, and this is something I totally agree with, whereas black people have to teach their kids that they can't, I'm sort of quoting Biden, sort of quoting myself, they have to, you know, they can't wear a hoodie in public, and if they get pulled over, they have to, you know, expect to be dragged out of the car, and that is bullshit. The tweet that I posted was, I can't believe our goddamn country. Black people just have to expect to be targeted because of their skin color. How we're still feeling the effects of something that happened in the 1950s is beyond me. I mean, sure, the 50s was an awesome time, but not for slavery. I just don't know what to say to that. So that actually wasn't the last tweet. I thought it was, but it wasn't. Oh my gosh. My favorite moment, I think, from last night was near the end when Trump said, I quote, I am the least racist person in this room. And he said that twice. I busted out laughing. It just shows you how narcissistic somebody could be. Made another joke that nobody would care about. And then the last tweet was, it's over and I'll make a video tomorrow. Well, let me put it like this. I'm the least racist person in the room thing, that was comical. And the thing that pissed me off the most was probably the people with the lowest IQ thing. Because in all honesty, he was kind of equivalently calling people the R word, which I can't say because people will get pissed off. I'm not offended by it, but people get pissed if I use it, so I don't use it. So, that's the debate recap. It may sound like I'm a Karen because I'm reading my tweets that I posted, but I use Twitter not only... I'll put it like this. I don't follow politics on Twitter. I use it to communicate with other YouTube users because I don't have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, but not one that YouTube can... Not one that I can link to YouTube because while it doesn't have my full last name in it, I have friends that are family members, they have the last name. I can't put it in. If I create a Facebook at one point, I probably won't. I encourage you, if you aren't already, make a Twitter and follow me on there because that is where I post a lot of updates, things about my videos, random shit that doesn't, involve a YouTube video, picture of my dog, things like that. So, I highly, highly recommend start following me on Twitter. It's at DJIRich5. That is an inside joke from 6th grade, and I might tell it at some point. But that's my Twitter. So, I guess that concludes the debate video. 10 minutes long. Holy shit. I will have more videos. I'll have another video today from last night when the debate started. So, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and click like if you like what you see, and follow me on the web, wix.com/theelevatorworld/fans. Bye-bye.